December 8th, 2024 has marked a historic turning point in Syria and the region. It was a day when the Syrian people achieved what seemed unattainable, the toppling of one of the most brutal dictatorships in modern history. After 13 years of a tragedy that began with a peaceful revolution in 2011, Syrians have finally liberated their country through a Syrian-led initiative, restoring agency to a people who have endured unimaginable suffering. The fall of Bashar al-Assad and his regime brings both immense hope and daunting challenges for Syria's future. I want to first emphasize what a moment of liberation, joy, and hope it has been for Syrians. It's worth reminding everyone that the regime oversaw one of the most brutal prison systems in the world. It had detained an estimated 160,000 arbitrarily arrested and or forcibly disappeared individuals. The release of several thousands of these detainees, and unfortunately the remaining disappearance of more than 100,000 of these detainees, has brought uncontainable joy to Syrians, many of whom had lost hope of ever uniting with their loved ones. Also, for the over 6.3 million Syrian refugees scattered around the globe, this victory carries the promise of return. And so far, the UNHCR estimates that more than 500,000 Syrians have returned since December 2024, restoring their dignity and their security within their homeland. There are perils to the transition, and there are significant uncertainties. The immediate transition of power led by the rebel group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, and its acronym, and its leader Abu Muhammad al-Julani, or this is his nom de guerre, his real name being Ahmad al-Shara, has raised critical questions about Syria's future. Its origin lies in a faction which used to be affiliated with Al-Qaeda, but al-Julani has reinvented himself and reinvented his group from a Salafi jihadi identity to a technocratic mainstream force which has succeeded somehow in maintaining power since 2017 over northwest Syria and establishing a technocratic rule rather than a religious rule. Also, his bloodless takeover, the amnesty for the soldiers, his outreach to the Alawis, the Christians, and other religious and ethnic communities in Syria, and his condemnation of Assad's sectarian ruling are calculated but also promising moves, and also positioning himself as a unifying statesman. The HTS will be managing what is called a caretaker government within that transition period until March, actually, but it will also be handing over after March to a transition government. The question here now is, what is the nature of that transition period? Will it be inclusive? Will it be peaceful? And what will be the relation with women, the inclusion of women, the inclusion of Christians, Alawis, Ismailis, Druze, all of the different minorities, and will massacres be prevented? This is an important aspect because Kurds will need to be integrated as full-fledged citizens within Syria and also be recognized, and averting also sectarian strife, but also for the military aspect of the PYD to be dealt with by HTS. And there have been talks and a conciliatory tone with the Kurds between Ahmad al-Shara and the Kurdish communities, who have also suggested to keep a military bloc, but that has been rejected. So that relation is still work in progress and will be a very crucial aspect of the transition. There's been isolated incidents, but the hope is that these have been only individuals. There will be a need also to deal with the people accountable for the torture and the killing, etc., and allowing for a transitional justice system to be implemented so that there are no overt and full-fledged massacres taking place. The other aspect which is crucial is the writing of a new constitution. This will be a decisive factor, a process that could take 3 years, according to recent statements by Ahmad al-Shara. And the Syrians are waiting to see what universal principles the new country's laws will hold, and also how will the relation between the state and society and communities be defined? Will Syria have a presidential or parliamentary system? And what is the relation between religion and state? The 1950 constitution has been cited frequently as a potential model for Syrians. Its emphasis on democratic principles and expanded judiciary system is promising. It's also a constitution which recognizes fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, as the rule of law without it being the Sharia-led system, and recognizing the rights of minorities to exercise their religious power over personal status law, which some activists would like to change into a state-managed personal status code rather than religiously managed. The issue of identity is also, inclusion is also important, because that constitution proclaimed a Syrian Arab Democratic Republic with Islamic jurisprudence, and also raising the question of the Kurdish community's integration as Syrians within that democratic entity.